Okay, anyway, let's do this. So find the inverse of each function. Let's do this a tiny bit slow because I think this is kind of hard. Do you guys think this is hard? Finding the inverse of exponential and log? Okay, anyway. Okay, so I plug something in for x right here. The first thing that I would do to it would be 2 to the power. And then I would subtract 8. Okay. For the inverse, the first thing I would do would be add 8 and then log base 2. Okay. Y inverse equals. Always start with x. I'm going to move it way over here because one of my steps is log 2. But the first step is add 8. And then the second step is log 2. So I'm going to log 2 everything. I try to remember Mrs. Talbot saying everything in the subsequent steps of the inverse problems. Okay, number 2, plugging in for x right here. Parentheses go first, so that would be times 3 would be first. And then log base 2. So my inverse steps, the first step would be 2 to the power. And then divide by 3. Y inverse equals. Okay, so I'm going to write this twice because I'm thinking as a student, not as a teacher. We always start with x, and then I figure you guys would be like, oh, it's 2 to the power. So your 2 would end up down here weirdly because you would not have planned ahead, maybe. And then you would divide by 3. And that looks terrible, so then you just rewrite it cleaner for your final answer. But because I'm a teacher, I plan ahead and I'm like, oh, it's going to be in the exponent, so I should start with my x in the exponent. But I don't know if you guys are doing that. Who knows? Either way. Okay, pausing here. Any questions on number 1 or 2? Are you sure? Okay, now let's go to number 3 and 4, expand and condense. Okay, so expand. The first thing we look at is the division. And division is subtraction. Log base 3 of x squared minus log base 3 of y to the 5th. And then we're going to move those exponents in the front. Final answer. Okay, so now number 4, we're going to do the opposite. So we're here for the answer becomes the problem, and then we're going to go backwards to this. So first step is to put the exponents back. And then the second step is to look at the operation. Operation is plus, which means times. Final answer. Okay, now real quick before we move on, I want to talk about, can you guys find the review assignment number 12? So we did this, but it was before break. This is the same type of problem we just did just now, but that one didn't have a divide by 3. So do you guys want to do this one together real quick? Okay, so you'll hopefully this will ring a bell at some point. So this is going to stay the same. And then this divided by 3, I'm going to make it a 1/3 in the front. I'm on review assignment number 12. Review assignment number 12. Okay, now I'm going to put the exponents back. Now I'm going to condense it with multiplication. Okay, and then does anybody remember what you do with the fraction exponent? Yeah, it becomes a cube root. So log base 9 of c squared times cube root of a. Just wanted to remind you of that because we did that like right before break and we haven't done it since. So if you want to see more of those, you have them in your this is your logarithm log properties worksheet homework. We did it quite a while ago, but if you want to do more of those, they're on there. And there's one in the condense and there's one in the expand with the roots. So just so you know. Anyway, okay, back to the review notes. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Okay. Step 1, identify the operation and condense. This is plus, which means it's times. Log base 8, 3 times 3x equals log base 8 of 73. Okay, we good so far? Now you decide Guinan circle or cross out. Cross out. Unfortunately, this is the most unsatisfying answer of all time. I am not going to find the decimal for this. It's just gross. I'm going to leave it 73 ninths and I'm going to plug it in to check it as 73 ninths. So math log base 8 of 3 plus math log base 8 of 3 times 73 divided by 9. Gross decimal. Math log base 8 of 73. Same gross decimal. And notice, because I did the exact form of 73 ninths, I got exactly the same thing. If you rounded this, these two decimals would be very close, but not exactly the same. Okay, number 6. Step 1, operation is division. Log base 4 x plus 4 over x equals 1. Okay, Guidance circle. 4 to the 1 equals x plus 4 over x. Put the 4 over 1 and cross multiply. 4 to the 1 is 4 times x is 4x. 1 times x plus 4 is x plus 4. Minus x. Divide by 3. Log base 4 of 4 thirds plus 4. That's a 7. Minus math log base 4 of 4 thirds. What do I want that to be? 1. And it is. Any questions on either of those? You good so far? Are you having a blast?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's quite really.
I know. Try to contain your excitement. Okay. Moving down to number 7 and 8. 7 is the nastiest squirrel in the tree problem I could come up with. CUDA gives you like a certain amount of options. I put maximum stuff. I want all the stuff. It's got a number in the front, it's got business up in the exponent, it's got the number off the end. And yeah, this is the worst case scenario squirrel in the tree problem. But it's okay. All right, so the question is order of operations. What should we do first? Add 5. Okay, next. Beautiful. Next. Great. Okay, exponent in front. This is the one that I was telling you guys, round on your paper, but leave the decimal in the calculator. You remember me saying that? Okay. Question for number 7. I think that might be a good note card one, because that's just the worst possible case scenario there. It has every like possible thing you've ever run into. Unless you think it's too complicated. I don't know. But okay. Write the equation of the exponential. Okay, all right. I'm gonna do table method because I'm the laziest human being ever. If you want to do system method, you're on your own. Go ahead. Okay, so undo the asymptote, plus 11, plus 11. Oh, I wrote that too close. 53. Okay, how many B's is it from -1 to 3? 4. I'm not gonna miss that number. Okay, now to remind you, we need to take the fourth root. The fourth root is in the math menu. So right here, hit the math button and then scroll down to the one with the X. And you can type the 4 in here. And then I'm going to scroll it up and grab that decimal and paste it in. And then I'm just going to call this 1.28. That's as good as I can do. Okay, so A is always the number next to the 0. So 25.25. Y equals 25.25 times 1.28 to the x minus 11. Any questions on number 8? I know it came out gross, but this happens with those. Don't freak out. It just happens. I could kind of tell it was going to be gross from the very gross decimal at the beginning, so I'm not surprised. Okay, flip the page over when you're ready. Okay, so we're going to go through a process with all of these where we decide if it's law of sines or law of cosines and then solve. We need to read the directions. So this says find x, y. So I'm going to put a little x there because that's what we're trying to find. Okay, but when you're thinking about law of sines and law of cosines, you can't look at the x. You have to just look at the numbers that were on the problem. Is this one either side, angle, side, or side, side, side? No, there's not even two sides given to you. If there's only one side given to you, it can't be law of cosines because you got to plug in two sides. So this one's law of sines. Okay, do you see a side and an angle across from it already set up? These two, right? Okay, so sine 21 degrees over x equals, okay, and we have the 27. We need that for the other side, but the angle across is this one. So I'm going to have to do some maths. Okay, cross multiply x times sine 26 equals 27 times sine 21. Divide. Twenty-two point one. Okay. Number 10. Find measure of angle A. So I'm going to put a little mark there just so that I can see the visual of what's across. So this question, do we have two sides and the angle between them? No, we have two sides and the angle over here, but we do not have two sides and the angle between them. Do we have all three sides? No, there's not a number over here. So this is law of sines again. Okay, so we start with These two are across from each other, so sine 86 over 20 equals sine of A over 10. Cross multiply 20 times sine A equals 10 times sine 86. Okay, on this one, you're left with sine A, so you need to sine inverse. All right, scroll down when you're ready. Okay, now I'm hoping this is pretty obvious. Look at 11. Can you tell that side angle side? Look at 12. Can you tell that side, side, side? These are the only two setups for law of cosines. So this is the visual that you need to be able to see when the problem starts. This is your side angle side variety here. And this is your side, side, side variety here. Mr. Knight will now explain how to do law of cosine. I'm kidding.
Cosine of the thing, then the other thing, and then do the thing.
Oh,
Wow.
nice, nice, nice. Cheers. Thank you, Mr. Knight. I apparently haven't been down there in quite some time. Okay, anyway, this one says find HK. I'm just going to put a little X there on HK. And remember with law of cosines, you always start with the side across from the angle you have. So x squared equals 28 squared plus 29 squared minus 2 times 28 times 29 cosine 106. Now type that in one swoop. Unless, well, you could put a radical over it if you're just that lazy. I'm that lazy, but I won't do it here because, teaching. $45.5. Okay, now, someone, I can't remember if it was, I think it was my fourth period yesterday, said, hey, Mrs. Talbot, isn't that supposed to be plus or minus? Because I drilled it in your head that every time you square root both sides, it's supposed to be plus or minus. And, and it's true, except for that these are geometry problems. You're not gonna have a negative side of a triangle. So when you're doing geometry problems, you don't have to worry about the plus or minus. But you do when you're doing the log problem. So I don't know if you remember back to the quiz review, there was one where you had to like square root, it was like plus or minus 8/3 or something, and there was like a plus or minus 9. Like those, it matters. And this, it's a link, so it can't be negative. Okay, anyway, which is kind of false if you think about going backwards, but we're just gonna leave that alone. Okay, anyway, side, side, side. All right, now this one says measure of angle A. Make sure that you mark measure of angle A. And remember, you always want to start law of cosines with the side across from the angle that you're interested in there. So I'm interested in angle A, so my law of cosines needs to start across from that, just like this one. So 13 squared equals 20 squared plus 23 squared minus 2 times 20 times 23 cosine of A. You see the difference between these two? But you still want to start across from that angle. Okay, now this is where I don't know if you guys paid attention on the video, but I was very specific about order of operations here. So this side becomes 169 and combine these two. Put the little arrow there, like literally, don't skip that. And then combine those three. Okay, now this is where children get all messed up. They subtract this. Those are not like terms. You can't do that. You got to rescue this out of here. Okay, and then this becomes cosine of A. How do you undo cosine? Inverse cosine, yeah. So we're gonna go cosine inverse. I'm gonna change these to positives. Doesn't matter, you could leave them both negative. It's not gonna make any difference in the calculator. What's wrong? Did I do something wrong?
No,
It's quite possible. They both were, okay, so let me see. So if you had just left them negative and not even thought about it and just put it in the calculator like that, would be fine. I just canceled them out because it's ugly to me, but the calculator. Okay, last problem, scroll down. Okay, last thing, side angle, side area formula. Okay, area equals 1/2 side, side. Doesn't matter the order you put those because it's multiplication. Sine of 115. I'm lazy. I type 0.5 in for half because it has less calculator keystrokes than 1 divided by 2. 0.5 times 8 times 11.7 sine of 115 yards. Okay, one more thing before I'm done. Two, I lied. Two things before I'm done. So we need to read this together. And there's something specific we need to read underneath. Okay. Your next test is on the block day of next week. You can use a note card and a calculator. The card must be handed in front of you, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, these are the topics. So remember the 2-point topics at the beginning are the multiple choice, law of cosines and condensing, expanding a log. The 3-point questions, the middle one, writing an exponential with an asymptote not at 0, law of sines and finding the side area formula. And then the 2 5-point questions, solving log and exponential equations. That's just like what was on your quiz. So like, squirrel out of the tree, and then the log equations where you decide if it's multiplication or division, if guidance or put cross out, like that. And then the last one is writing the inverse of a log or exponential and sketching the graph. So we did not sketch graphs today, but they are in your review assignment for you to review. But we did do the inverse part today. And you'll have a graphing calculator on you, so you'll be okay. Just remember that those log graphs go all the way down if you use the calculator. Remember what I mean? Like exponentials go like this, and the logs go like this, but the calculator like cuts it off. So it's just, what I would do if I were you, is put the log piece of the blue sheets on my note card. And maybe the exponential piece, because you'll want to like have the locator point and whatnot. Okay, any questions about the topics? Okay, now let's read this. If you miss the test, like if you're sick next week and don't make it up during access, the only other chance to make it up would be during class on Friday, December 13th, which I don't highly suggest. If you can, if you're a speeding test taker, that's CPT day and you'll have less time and must complete the test in one sitting. Or you could take it Monday, December 16th during class. We will pass the test back on the 17th so that you have it to study for the final. If you do not take the test before it's passed back, your score will be a 0. But after you take the final exam, I'll take your final exam grade, your percentage, and plug it back in that test spot. This is a very special announcement. Your final exam, if you do better on that than any one of your chapter tests, I'm going to replace your lowest chapter test with your final exam grade. However, which is great. However, if you miss this test, that will be the one. You don't get 2. See what I'm saying? So if you want to replace a previous one, you gotta take this one and do better. So it will replace one of your lowest test grades. If you do better on the final than any of your lowest test grades. I'm not gonna like hurt you if you do worse on the final than any of your lowest test grades. I'm not gonna go back and lower another one or anything, but it does count as its own thing. Does this all make sense? Yes, honey. Actually, you got a full sheet of paper front and back.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait a minute.
yeah, and I have a packet for you that we'll be working on that will narrow, I'll give you the topics and all of that. So you can make sure you have everything checked off. Is that all good news? It's 30 multiple choice questions. Yeah, so, yeah, 10 of them are 2 points. So it comes out to be 40, just like our, regular test. So 20 of them are 1 point and then 10 of them are 2 points to come out to be 40. Anyway, any questions about that? I'm gonna put a different post out with all the final topics and whatnot and all that detail later, but this is just for next week's stuff. Do you have any questions about the replacing or the making it up or any of that? Okay. Got it.
You're gonna have a whole like.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's.
Yeah. So like these two confirmed. This is right next to it, and then.
I threw all mine away.
You don't even use them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't do things like that, that's the thing.
What are you talking about? That's 10, bro. I got the